Yes. Hello! Welcome to Stonehearth dev stream. This is a Tuesday dev stream. According to our count, it's number 217 or something. Thank you for letting me know that there was no mic. Now you don't have to hear all the things that I said that I may later regret. So it's all good. Alright, so what I was saying is that one of the things that Ali and Yang asked me to do today at the stream was to take some screenshots of the new templates that Ali has been making. So, oops, that's not it. Are there really two? Alright, yeah, let's do this one. Make run here. And this is exciting for me because I actually haven't explored these templates in great depth, but according to Ali, they are templates for Rise Children, and they are currently on Steam Early Access, I believe. And it might be the case that in a little bit, they may be on Stable too. Okay, so let's see, how are you guys doing? It has been a little while since we last hung out. In part because our entire team, everybody except for Albert, who got sick and then was supposed to go somewhere else anyway, went to PAX West, which is the PAX in Seattle. It used to be called PAX Prime. And it was very amazing. Like, PAX, if you've never been, is just a sort of really dense, kind of overwhelming, jaw-droppingly cool show. Was it okay to bug Yang to make clay slanted roofs? Yeah, totally. You can bug Yang. I mean, it's in. Did she actually go ahead and implement it for you? Yang is very good about that. Let's try this. I think, you know, it is very... If Yang is happy to... If Yang implements it, then that means that it was a happy thing and that she enjoyed doing it. If you ask Yang for something that she doesn't really want to do, she will let you know. Or at least she lets me know. So hopefully she'd let you know too. I hope it's equal equality, like letting me know, letting us know things, Yang, when you are watching this for later. Yeah. For example, she's doing a lot of work right now on performance and making sure that the game runs really well and quickly, even in a variety of setups. Like, she's been trying to figure out, like, for those of you who are familiar with computers and software programming, when a game is created, let's put it here. When a game is created, it allocates all this memory, and like, all the objects are created, and sometimes the objects are disposed of. So you don't, for example, you might make an object like every time you highlight a person, and that highlight takes up memory, but then you're supposed to free that memory after you use it so that you can use it for something else. And she was exploring some problems whereby a lot of memory is getting allocated and then freed, but for some reason, like, the garbage collector isn't coming back and shrinking the memory footprint, so it's not leaking per se, it's just for some reason it gets bloated and then doesn't really go away. It might have something to do with the Lua garbage collector. It might have something to do with the way that C++ allocates memory on behalf of Lua, because she was creating these new games and there was like 150 megabytes that were being allocated, and then like when she saves and loads, that number goes all the way down to 23. So there were only 23 megabytes of real things there, but for some reason the cache got blown out really big, and she was trying to figure out what was doing that, and if she could save you those 150 megabytes on your first playthrough by finding the thing that was allocating all of this memory and seeing if there was a bug somewhere about like shrinking that memory back down. So what is the seed for that? I like that valley. Oh man, I'm so sorry I didn't actually catch it, but hopefully it'll be in the video somewhere and you can pause it. Let me see if it's here in settings. Like, I know that there was some conversation about putting the seed out into the world so that you can get to it later, but I'm not seeing it. So maybe that has not actually happened. It might still be on Linda's to-do list. Okay, so rise children in the desert. My understanding is in order to make this work, we need to make someone into a potter. Woohoo! And then we'll need to promote someone else into a weaver, and this should give us 2 new templates that we have never seen before. And then if I'm going to be taking a picture of these templates, well, it would be super useful if we just insta-mine them. And N is my favorite tool ever. Instamine. Oops. And so yeah, so we're just at PAX, and I would be happy to tell you guys PAX stories if you're at all interested in that sort of thing. We had a really beautiful booth. It was designed, like, Riot hooked us up with someone who designed the booth for us, and they did a really professional job, which was very, very different from our last booth experience, which was just me and Tom and Chris and Brad carrying like a poster into the indie mega booth, and you know, it was very indie, and it was very earnest, but it was just great to like not actually have to worry about the poster and like carrying all the stuff there. Like, the booth people just brought all the gear, and we were so grateful. And then they set up the booth for us, and then they printed everything, and like, you know, when the sign was too low and you couldn't see it from the ground, they actually raised the sign a foot, which required them to rebuild the top of the little house. Brad's whole idea about the booth was, you know, to give you a 10 by 10 square foot way to step into Stonehearth, and so, you know, that was really cool. So, console command, yeah. Going to cry? Wait, sorry, Control C? Like, couldn't I just use the console for what? Let me know. Yes. Like, for promoting a potter, right? Or promoting whatever? Yeah, okay. So, you only get these templates if you promote someone first. And I love what Ali does. I just love what she does with floors. Like, you can see that the floor of this is sunken, and it's actually different shades. Like, she doesn't just have the floor be all one color. Like, she picks different shades, and like, you know, now it matches the desert, and like, it's fabulous in so many ways. Alright, so now we want to take a picture of this. Probably like this, from this angle. I feel like I want to clear that fog of war. Like, we should really get a command that clears the fog of war, because it would be super useful. Right. So yeah, so these really nice and very effective dudes set up our booth for us, and then all we had to do was sort of like make sure that we had like we went out and we bought water and we carried the water in and, you know, all this other stuff, because we didn't want to get dehydrated and everything at PAX. And then we also bought Tylenol and like wipes so that we could make sure that we had enough to go on while we were at the show. We had a really good time. For those of you who are watching this who we met in person, thank you so much for stopping by the booth. And for the rest of you, I hope that someday you get to go to a show like PAX, because PAX is really all about like showing cool games to people who play games, and as a result, it is all about the players. It is all about you, and it is all about what we think would be interesting for you to see, and what the gaming industry thinks would be good for you to see. So, like, I wonder. It's like, how do you get the zones view without actually getting... Oops. You have to be in zones view in order to... like, hide the UI in such a way that... Alright, that's better. And then we should turn off the show Hearthling paths, because... Alright, let's try this again. Alright, cool. Much better. Okay, so let's take a couple, cause there's no harm in that. I guess, you know, in retrospect, it would be kind of useful to have had this backed up to a mountain. I kind of like this angle. I think this is the winning angle on the house. But it's like there's that mountain in the background, and it's... Okay, well anyway, let's just take a bunch, and we can sort it out later. Anytime, Photoshop. Contractor built booth, it was super effective. Yes, absolutely. That is exactly how it felt. So last year at PAX, I think we handed out, like, we made about 1,000 buttons, and we handed out most of them. I think we came home with maybe like 100, maybe 200. This year we made 5,000 buttons and 5,000 lanyards, and we handed out all of them. So we estimate that we talked to slightly less than 10,000 people on the show floor, and we got a really lovely corner section for our booth. Wait, like we all use Photoshop on this machine, so like I have this like regular experience where it's like, where did the menu go, and why are there squares everywhere? Rule of thirds. Can I just, like, no. Like, let's just not show the overlay? Where are all these lines from, guys? Like, where's the navigator? Well, okay, so, like, I'm getting the impression that these lines don't necessarily need to be there. Can we not do grid? Anyway, this is hilarious. Ratio. Let's see. Internet. Internet's super useful. Grid view? Yes. No, not those kinds of lines. Choose view, show grid? Alright. View, show, grid, no. Yay! Alright, we're saved. Okay, so, let's see. So that's one possible shot for this house, and that's kind of cool. I guess another shot would be like a slightly more distant slightly more distant shot for it. Right, of course. Okay. If I did it again, building it somewhere else. If I did it here and move this like here. And then destroyed this one because we can do that now. Ha ha ha. Building destruction is so visceral. It's very satisfying. I love too how now there's just dudes everywhere, like. Also that this tree is in the way. I feel like we're learning all kinds of things here about like the appropriate, like how to take appropriate pictures of stuff. Alright, I feel like this could work really well, like this angle from this thing, but now there's just a bunch of stuff up here that I don't want. So we're just gonna destroy all of these things. Sorry guys! I like how Ali's added these new windows. I'm very excited by that. And I know that she's working on new Rise Children Tier 2 templates, and I think that Alpha 19 is actually going to be about making sure that Rise Children is up to date with the Ascendancy. It's about lots of other things too. In particular, Yang is going to keep working, Yang and Chris are both going to keep working on performance. So, you know, that is always good. And we are actually going to have a full-time world-class game designer come to work for Stonehearth starting on Monday of next week. So hopefully next Tuesday I'll be able to introduce him to all of you. His name is Richard, and he is a Stonehearth backer from the Kickstarter days. And he got free and from his current job at his current studio and was like, hey, I would really like to help you guys out. So we brought him in, and he answered a lot of questions about Stonehearth and about what we, you know, his vision for Stonehearth. And we were like, hey, like that really fits with our vision. So why don't you come along and maybe we can do something together. So that was really exciting. And we'll be really happy to have someone who just works and looks full time at what the game is and what it could be and what it should be. Because, you know, like we spend a lot of our time as engineers making pieces of the game, but we don't really get to. We think a lot about whether or not this is fun, but we are not professional game designers because we were all engineers, and so it's really cool to talk with someone whose entire career, whose entire life has been about crafting these experiences and, you know, what systems are and what kind of stuff he looks for. So anyway, so Alpha 19 will be about Rise Children, and it'll be probably Linda and Ali working super hard on the assets and making sure that there's something here for Tier 2, but it's also going to be about performance and about starting to look at core gameplay from a more professional standpoint and looking at how to make it stickier without removing or distracting from any of the awesome things that we have. What did the designer do before? I think he was working at a startup on like a secret game that hasn't been announced yet. And before that, he actually worked at Riot, which is how we found out about him. And he has worked on a bunch of things for League. But he is one of the most well-played people that I have ever met. I think he does not play fighting games, and he does not play driving games, and everything else. He's played everything else. Like I was like, talking to him about like random Dynasty Warriors stuff, because as you guys know, I'm a huge Dynasty Warriors nerd, and he was like don't chase Lu Bu, and I was like, you're off by one verb, but I was still very impressed, you know, like a lot of people don't even know what Dynasty Warriors is, so that was pretty cool. And he has been to bone up for Stonehearth. He and because he really enjoys the genre, he's been playing like tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of obscure like building and simulation games that like I've never even heard of. So I look forward to hearing how that has influenced his perspective on what's going on these days. Man, you guys, like, I respect that Ali has built this house, but man, it is not going to be very easy to take a picture of this house. You can see why, right? Like, oh my god, it's going to be so cute though. I mean, look at that. Ah, there's like 2 floors inside the house. This is very exciting. I mean, just look, like the Weaver's house is 2 levels. It's like a sunken, there's a sunken, like a sunken rec room. Okay, so let's just insta-build that. In fact, let's look inside the Potter's house. Like, what magical things live inside here? Ooh, like, you know, it's, yeah, that's just good. Okay, sweet. I guess we could ask her where the bed went, but, you know. Alright, so we need another screenshot of this house, probably from this angle, right? Because, like, that would be good here. Maybe like this. She was saying that she's been trying to make the, crafter houses, have a common language whereby they all have these blue windows, which I think is actually pretty neat. Okay, so let's try this. Got some blues in there, got some pinks from the flowers. Go back into the zones mode, Control Z, so we can take the picture. Okay. Alright, go into Photoshop, new. Cool. Alright, it takes an embarrassingly long time to do these things. The split level houses of the 70s. I'm glad you like them too. Yes! They're just like Hyrule, it's just like Hyrule Warriors. They're all Warriors games. In Asia they're called Musou games because that's the name of their magic system, Musou. Yes. Those look green to you, not blue? Yeah, that's probably true. Like, cerulean? Like, just, I think of them and I think, well, like, they're kind of like the silkweed and, yeah, like, it's a teal, maybe it's teal. Like, I think Tom was calling them teal. Oh my god, these houses are gonna be so cute when they, like, get stacked up next to each other. Alright, let's take a slightly longer view, just in case. You know, you wanna show off those windows. No, I think that's almost the same. Okay, cool. So let's just go back to the template and find out how big these screenshots are supposed to be and work from there. Could the next alpha have a barracks BP? Like blueprint? Oh, that's a good question. That is a really good question. I think that would honestly be pretty amazing. I think, what makes something a barracks though? Like more than sleeping quarters? Like, because the footman doesn't really have like a station like the way that the crafters do. Stonehearth building templates. I somehow feel like this is actually not where this is. Like, I think it's probably actually in mods. Like, so... let me think. Rise children... Data, saved objects, building templates. Yeah, I think this is where it is. Let me just make sure by checking, like, view large icons, right? Yeah, okay. Sweet, so we are replacing Pottery Studio. Oh, that's interesting. She had a weaver's hut from that angle. Alright, let's try that angle in-game. It's basically this angle, I believe. That's kind of interesting. I think it's interesting she decided not to include the door in her original screenshot. Or I wonder if maybe the screenshot was just taken, like, by default. Yeah, it must just be the default screenshot, because you can see that, like, yeah, it's just the one that happened when she built it. Still, it's a very good screenshot, like, all things considered. Fine. I'll take one from here too, just in case. Okay. Yeah, default. Is the house going to be edited later with the new Weaver assets? We would probably see more Weaver recipes to Rise theme. That would be awesome. It's actually, I actually am not sure. Ali and Linda have been taking point on what Rise children should have and what they must have in order to feel like they're at parity with the Ascendancy, and what they should have, like what is their high priority stuff, what is their nice to haves, and what is their, like, this is aspirational and we should get it if we can. But yeah, so I have actually not reviewed any of those documents yet, and I look forward to it when we get around to it. Okay, so at the moment, these guys are 800 by 800, so let's just start there. By 800. Okay, and so of these first three, 1, 2, 3, which of these would be the best candidate for the weavers, for the potter's house as a picture? I actually think I really like this second one, so let's try this first and put this here in our 800 by 800 and see how we do. Alright, it's, how would it look compared to these guys? Well, those other dudes fill the edges of their screens, so let's make it bigger for starters. Okay, a little smaller than that. You like number 3, Halo Kills? Let's see. What is number 3? This one. Okay, cool. Let's try this first. Whoa, did it get smaller again? Like, it totally did, right? Alright. Okay, so let's try that. And then let's make another 800 by 800. And let's try this one too. This one certainly feels like, it's like, oh look, like this is a picture that you've taken, like, while looking at this house while thinking about buying it. Like, it feels like the sort of picture that you would actually find in a magazine, like, for this house. Like, it was taken at ground level by a tall person who is standing in a car, or standing, like, in the back of their car, or standing up from their car, and they're like, yes, this, like, you know, this like half-level potter's house with the basement, like, you know, $700,000 in San Francisco, like, lovely, like, you know, sandstone property, makes you feel soothed. Exactly, Zillow for Hearthlings. Third one, but both the second and the third look good. Okay, cool. So we're going back and forth now between A and B. A and B. I happen to think that this better matches the rest of these pictures, because these pictures are all taken from a little bit above the house, and you get a picture, you get a little bit of the roof, you get their windows, you get their doors, and you get a little bit of the background. Admittedly, there is less color going on. Like, there's a little bit of color going on here, but these guys are all very plain. So maybe the answer is also that we should have found a slightly more empty location to try this. Let's try this one more time with the potter's house build, like, on this background, and insta build it. right, so that there's even less going on in the background than we thought before. Give it just a little time for the coals to light up. Okay, zones. Try this again. Because I feel like sort of what's going on that's really negatively impacting it is, like, you can see that there's other stuff in the world. Oh, of course. Destroy. Whoop. Oh, print screen. Okay, let's make another 800 by 800. I'm interested to hear why you guys think 3 looks better than 2, and if it is because of that thing. I know that the reason that I'm irritated with 2 is because there's that tree sort of in the background, and like you don't actually, the shape of the house is not as clear as you might maybe like it to be. But yeah. So one of the other fun things that happened at PAX was that Rob, who you might know as Deluxe, came to visit us, and he did a really interesting documentary about the team. He basically had his lovely Lisa, his lovely wife Lisa, interview each member of the team while we were in the process of setting up the booth. For those of you who ever get to go to PAX, getting to be an exhibitor at PAX is pretty awesome because you have an hour between 8 and 9 o'clock, which is the press hour, and that's when press circulate the booths and you talk to them. But if you are not on press duty, that is also the time when all the booths are set up but there's no crowds. So if there's a time that you want to do something on the show floor and you're an exhibitor, that is the time to do it. In part too, because if you're an exhibitor, you're not going to see the rest of the show floor the way that you would as a guest, so it's good to have this early time, and you can then go get your awesome demo without waiting in line for 3 hours. But so it was during this quiet hour that Rob took some time to interview the whole team about why they chose to work on Stonehearth and what they love about the game, and he asked us each like what our favorite foods were in Stonehearth, and you can find that all on his YouTube channel, DELUKS. And we had a really good time. Okay, so between these guys, like, I can totally see why you guys like this one. Like, I really feel like I could walk up to this house and be like, yo, like, how much is this house? Like, and I would say $700,000 in California for, like, about, you know, like 300 square feet, 400 square feet. So yeah, but I actually think I prefer this to this. Well, these are kind of cool. I suppose I could go back to this and remove these 2 trees. Is that house still there? Why am I so picky? Like, that house is still there, but this other house is here. Well, that's kind of unfortunate. I mean, isn't this just the cutest picture of this house? Like, alright. But this other house, like, it gives you the sense of, like, alright, where are we? What are we doing? There's that too, I guess. Wow, that's kind of nice. Like, maybe that has the best of both worlds. It doesn't actually, like, have the same... It doesn't have that same angle, but there's something about it, I think, that's just very, very striking. Yeah, it's like if this was Kakariko Village, it would be like Twilight Princess Kakariko Village. Wow, that actually looks really nice. I think anyway. Like, it's a good reimagining of why maybe you guys like that third one from the last set. I can get away with there being just a little bit more like that. Cool. It's got this brown sand at the bottom, but we can fix that in Photoshop. Yeah. Is that overhang roof actually roofs or is it slabs? Let's find out. I actually think this is roof. So if I turn slice mode off. Oh, Allie's so smart. Alright, I guess it's not roof, it's slabs. But you can still see inside, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, she is good, isn't she? It's amazing. Like, I'm in awe every time I look at her art. Okay, so A, B, and C. No, A, B, C, and D. A, B, cancel. B, C, and D. The preset would break. Yeah, I would believe that. I am very excited about that, honestly. Like I'm very like that new splash screen is very cool to me. And I'm really looking forward to it. Well, this is kind of embarrassing. It is, like, now I don't like this one for some reason. I think it's too close to this edge. And of course we did history, so I guess I could do this. But I actually think it's too... Yeah, it would want a screenshot that's more like this. At first the other house had tree roofs clipping into each other. The baby chick was a caterpillar with a big head and antenna. Yeah, that would be pretty amazing. I am being terribly indecisive. My apologies. Let's try this one more time. I think the problem is that, like, you want to see the profile of the house. In a way that makes sense. Let's do that. Print screen. Okay, maybe that. You think the above view just feels more Stonehearthy? There is this, like, one of the problems is that it doesn't, if we do this, it doesn't fit into these other guys. Like, all the other views, like, if you look at mods. I wonder where the Ascendancy templates went. But yeah, like, if you just look at them, they are all, like, from the top. And so this is pretty cool, but then this feels more right. Maybe that feels more right too. And it's like, well, would we want to go to a different direction? So if it was between this one and this one, Also thinking about it, it's like you see it in this window and you're like, well, like it should match all these other guys. And it would be kind of weird if that was true. And it does kind of like pop because it's got those different colors. Alright, let's try this. Okay, so we're gonna copy this. We're gonna save it as Pottery Studio PNG. And we're gonna put it here. Okay. Replacing the file. Don't worry, it's backed up on GitHub. And then, let's see, our other one is the Weaver's Hut, and we were sort of doing that over here. Alright. This one, or this one. I think I prefer the door. Alright, let's do this. Print screen. Really, cancel. New. Okay. Again, you want the whole thing to fit. Take it down just a bit. Alright. Cool. Save this. I guess the fair question is, do we want that dude to be there in the background? Like, now that he's been there, like, can we take this picture again? Like, would it be better if we took the picture again? Probably, right? Like, what exactly was our angle on this? I guess one problem is if you don't, like, in this particular example, like, this far corner bleeds right into the world, and so it's a little bit hard to see from this angle, whereas, like, from here you can see clearly because of the shadow, like, where it is. So let's make sure that we get a little bit of that in there. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, now there's not a little pink guy running around in the background, so that's good. Okay, so we want to save this as a PNG. Weaver set? Yep, save. Yep. Cool. Alright, now let's try reloading the UI. Is the UI even there? Alright, let's try reloading the UI again. Let's see. Okay, so Pottery Studio and Weaver's Hut. That seems reasonably... And you're like, oh, I see, and it's different from these dudes because it's got these blue windows. Something about the Weaver's Hut looks slightly less interesting. I think it's because there's no like decorations up here. I mean, the Pottery Studio does have that one little like orange thing going on in the distance, and the Weaver's Hut is just like slightly more regular. I guess we could try taking a picture of it from this angle, which is, like, it's got that one random, like, tan window, but it is kind of weird to not have the window there. To not have the door there, sorry. Like, maybe if it was more like this, and what if I took this tree and teleported this tree to right here? Like, what would happen? Like, just to get it to be clearly slightly more delineated. Add some visual interest to that part of the picture. I mean, this is faintly ridiculous because, like, let's just face it, like, the building is going to be really cute all by itself, and you don't need to know how it's cute, but alright, let's try this. I care surprisingly much about the little details. Okay. That seems like a good fit. I suppose while we're at it, we could always move this silkweed. Oh. Teleport. Teleport. And that would be like a good indicator because it is a weaver's hut, so having silkweed in front of it kind of makes sense. Right, okay. Neat. Save. Oops. Okay. F5. And we go here, and we go here. And that's pretty good. Alright, sweet. Okay, so the other thing that we want to do is take a picture, same thing, of, Weaver's sign to the right of the door. Yeah, I wonder, that would be really good, actually, like if it were right there. Alright, well, we've removed that game, but I wonder if it isn't actually because, the signs would have to be made by the potter, because Rise Children gets the weaver, gets like all the carpentry signs really late, so, you might get a weaver long before you actually get a carpenter, and then the sign would just sort of like sit there and not be available to you for a long time. But yeah, I wonder if that's why she didn't do it. And it makes me curious as to whether or not she might ever make, Allie, I mean, might choose to make new Rise Children signs for those guys. So now I want to take a picture of the Ascendancy because just to round out the set, I want to make sure that we have a carpenter's hut too, like a picture for the carpenter's hut. So pretty. So what else? While we were at PAX, like I said, we gave away tons of lanyards and tons of buttons, and one of the coolest things that happened was that Mike Krahulik came by our booth. For those of you who don't know him, he's Gabe from Penny Arcade, and like he'd backed our Kickstarter, and he tweeted about us, which really, really helped. Oh, a banner. A banner would be really beautiful. Like a banner that you could change, like, and it's like, this is the Weaver sign, but it's for Rise Children. That would really be beautiful. Yeah, it would not surprise me at all if we revisited the house later. It's just that, like, if and when we did that, oh, wow, alright, pausing the game, we would take new pictures too, but at least we would have some reference pictures to go by, since the pictures are often like, oh, well, like, what is the right angle for this thing? Oops. So, if Allie does choose to do that, then I would be happy to take these pictures again. But right now it's like really noticeable, like what is wrong with this house? Why is it the only house that doesn't match all the other houses? This is a narrow house, so it's gonna want more random things just sitting in front of it. Because it's gonna end up with like a ton more than usual on above and below it. Okay. like so. Screen. So Mike Krahulik came by our booth, and he backed us during the Kickstarter, and he had also tweeted about us, which really helped a ton when we were just trying to get the word out during the Kickstarter. And so we've never really heard about, him, or we've never really heard if he's been playing the game or anything like that. He didn't drop by last year. But he dropped by this year to tell us that he follows our updates. He's super excited to see buildings blow up in his games. Like, it meant a lot to us that someone we admire so much was playing, and someone, whose art style is definitely, it's been amazing watching his art style evolve over the years, and I find it very expressive and very hilarious. I have a very clean vocabulary. I try anyway to have a very clean vocabulary, but like, because of Penny Arcade, I feel like it is able to express for me all of the words that I can't say or that I don't say. So that is always entertaining. Okay, so the next question is now, where did these building templates get saved? Like, Yang has moved them. So, alright, that's the Rise Children one. Tiny Cottage. Yeah, okay, so I think it's in here. Carpenter House, yep. So this should be this PNG, yep, and we should change it. Okay, where is this folder? Okay, so in UI game modes, build mode. That's fascinating. Alright, I can totally see why. Oops. That was the wrong folder. No wonder I was surprised. It's this one. Where is this? Open in folder location. Stonehearth data, saved objects. Oh, of course. Okay, cool. Saved objects. Let's go. Let's do this. Carpenter House? Yeah? Okay, cool. Now we're gonna replace that with this. So, save, building templates, Carpenter House. PNG. Woohoo! That's really ridiculous. So many leaks and new info is crazy. Alpha 19's gonna be about aliens. That would be pretty amazing. I mean, do you guys, so I used to really think the History Channel was awesome because I presumed I would be able to go to the History Channel and read anything I wanted or watch anything I wanted about real history. And when I finally started catching up with the History Channel, I was really surprised to discover that every time I turned it on, it was always this dude with the really amazingly huge hair, and it was always some show called Ancient Aliens. And my husband really likes Ancient Aliens, and he really enjoys the show, but I was always just like, is this really appropriate for the History Channel? Okay, fine, I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy it. But, Rise Children, was originally inspired by Taos, and there's a lot of conversation about, Anasazi and stuff, and, how they might be actually related to aliens, if you watch Ancient Aliens. And there's also tons of stuff about Nazca lines, and, oh my goodness, how did these people create these blocks that have, basically no mortar, but they're perfectly square? So it's certainly a thing. I could imagine it being a thing. It is not a thing in Stonehearth. I tell you this with certainty. The Stonehearthians, the Hearthlings who live in Rise Children are definitely not descended from the kind of aliens that come down from the sky. Wow, the Carpenter's house now looks better than all the other houses, and all these other houses still have the grid lines on them, which is hilarious. Whatever. I'm not gonna take these pictures again. And I don't think that we should make the Carpenter's house have grid lines to match. Although I suppose, well, no, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So, anyway, I could imagine a universe in which you were like, oh, yeah, I'm not saying that they're aliens, but they're totally aliens. Because I could just see that, does it make sense? Guys, sometimes I'm so indecisive. Alright, fine. It matches. It matches. It's okay. But, like, now it doesn't match the Rise Children templates? Well, fine, okay. So the Rise Children templates are all, like, grid lines minus, and these are all grid lines plus. And I guess that sort of does give it the sense, like, this is a blueprint, everybody. Like, don't mind me. We're just the blueprint. I guess it's also fair to ask, like, what happened to Tier 2? Like, these dudes, did they have... Yeah. Well, some of them do, some of them don't, so... Alright. We have a precedent for irregularity. But, in any case, let's save this. And turn this on again, and reload the UI. Yes. Lizard squads. Lizard people. That would be hilarious, I agree. Okay. As is usual, in my life, there are periods in my life when I need to go pick someone up at Tuesday at, now it's 7:30, so I will make, we saw everything was checked in, right? Well, not checked in, but we saw that the stuff appeared in the game, so we're not gonna obsess over these screenshots. No, no, no. No, let's definitely not save this stuff. Okay, cool. Okay, well, the best part about having your entire office being at, like, bocce ball is that, like, you can basically pull whatever you like because nobody's checking in. So let's do that, and then we will call it a night for tonight. But yeah. Wait, no. I think I've just randomly clicked around. This is really the screen I want, guys. Alright, so it's just 3 PNGs. Stage them all. Commit. Adding pretty pictures. Open new templates. Commit. Hit pull. Alien lizard poodles confirmed? Wow. That would be interesting. Can you imagine a Stonehearth poodle? It would be entirely square. Like, I'd be very excited about this, actually. Okay. We are up to date. So now we just get to watch the auto tests run. If us checking in 3 PNGs has somehow broken the auto tests, it's the end of the world, guys. Well, yes. Well, that is what I call a success. So yeah, so that happened. Another cool person who stopped by our booth was Mike Laidlaw. Those of you who've been following along from last packs know that I'm a huge fan of Dragon Age. And it was really cool because he also wanted to see buildings blow up, and he was very excited about that. And he suggested that, you know, if you blow up a building, you lose some of the resources, but maybe if you take a building down block by block, you keep all the resources. And Chris was like, oh my god, like how amazing is this? And I think Chris was kind of torn between it being amazing and Chris being like, now I have more work to do. So I don't actually think that he's going to move on that anytime soon, because right now Chris is writing something called a reachability service, which is about given a Hearthling, can the Hearthling get to a target location? And this should be able to dramatically reduce the amount of work that of CPU that the A-Star and BFS Pathfinder use up. So leaving that CPU for other things like preventing Hearthlings from being idle. Wow! What was that gate? I totally saw some sort of gate. Like, one of my favorite parts about the fact that, like, Ali and Mally and... See? Holy cow, what was that? Also work on Stonehearth is that, like, I read the check-ins, and, you know, when engineers write check-ins, they're usually pretty descriptive, like, I implemented this new feature. But, like, when Ali writes a check-in, it's like, I checked in some new assets, and it's like, what assets? I don't know. Like, I'd have to actually look in the code to see, like, what files she changed. And so, as a result, like, I'm often very surprised by new art, like, because, you know, we didn't talk about it in advance or whatever, or I knew that she was working in general in this area, or I knew that Mally, in the background, Mally has been slowly updating all of the items so that there'd be fine versions of them. I don't know if you've noticed this. But so, like, you know, the check-ins don't really say that, and so I'm like, oh my goodness, there's new art, and then it is just the best thing. You're distracted by sheep, people, sheep. It's so funny. One of the things that I really want to talk about at some point later this year, Morgan, our intern, one of our interns, spent the summer working on a prototype for the animal trainer, and it's not a very final version of the animal trainer yet, because we were kind of hoping that the animal trainer would come in with the Northern Alliance instead of with the Ascendancy, just so that the Northern Alliance, we could like double down and focus on how they were different. But one of the things that she implemented for the animal trainer was like scary monsters that follow around your hearthlings and like defend them when they get attacked by goblins. And she had worked on wolves, but we were like hypothesizing that when we had more time from Allie, you know, because Allie's working on all these other things right now, like maybe we could get to a point where there's like war sheep or whatever, or like war poyos, and they'd be able to be an animal trainer animal. Her work is really adorable, and well, Allie's work is adorable. Morgan's work was also really adorable. So like, yeah, killer sheep, that would be pretty astonishing. I'm not really sure how that would work in the game, like, but like, I'm sure that if we told Allie make a killer sheep, she would be able to do that with aplomb and style and all sorts of other good things. Okay. Anything else? We really did see something amazing, during, like, we didn't actually see this in PAX, but like, this was a screenshot that I think Yang had found later. So Ark Survival, had basically put a ginormous T-Rex on the middle of the show floor. You can kind of see it here, and there's a ladder behind it, and you could climb the ladder and ride on the T-Rex and have a friend of yours take a picture of you. And eventually, like, our booth, right behind our booth, was this guy who was constantly in a ginormous T-Rex costume. And I really wish I knew what the story is about that. I think it's for a card game called Super Fight. But eventually, at some point, we totally saw a picture of these two guys, like, together. It was on Imager. Let's see if I can find it again. It was very distinctive. It's in sequence with this picture. You can see where this is going, though, can't you? Like, basically he's on here, the dude in the T-Rex costume is riding the T-Rex. Like, there's really not much more that you could really want from PAX than that picture. Than the idea that there would be a universe in which a dude in an inflatable T-Rex costume could himself ride a T-Rex and just sort of enjoy that. It was very, very cool. Alright, I'm not seeing this picture for some reason at the moment, which is too bad. But yeah, it was very good. Is it this? No? Other thing that was kind of weird was that, I guess Uber had paired up with Final Fantasy, and there was seriously, like, cars that were dressed up like chocobos outside the convention center. And, like, they were just dressed up like the cars had a chocobo pattern on them, and there was an Uber sign on the outside, and yeah, here we go, our chocobo themed Uber cars. So they were yellow and white, there were bird patterns on the front, and they were seriously like feathers in the back, and it was, when you hit the horn, it made a really loud queh noise, and we couldn't figure out what it was at first, because like we could hear it from our hotel, and we were like, what is up with this? And it turned out to be these Ubers that were dressed like chocobos, because really, like, what more could you want than to ride around in an Uber that looks like a chocobo? So it was pretty crazy. Let's see, you noticed an issue with reinforced wood doors after load. The door is not properly aligned with the frame until a hearthling walks near it and causes the animation to run. Yeah, that actually sounds very familiar. It's probably that the wooden door is supposed to have an animation on it, and that animation, like, is supposed to run continuously, actually. Like, even though the door looks closed, there's an animation running that's keeping it closed, and it might be that the animation is not running or something. So I cannot look at it now. I have to go pick somebody up, but yeah, that definitely sounds like something, you can ping Melly on it, or, like, check on the discourse. Mally has been doing this really terrifying thing recently. He's been porting all of our animations from 3ds Max to Maya. He is not through with this process. He doesn't even really know for sure if this is something that we are absolutely going to be able to do, because it's so intimidating. Yes! Yes? Alright. Oh my goodness. Thank you. That is Rodrigo. That was my husband. He really wants you guys to see this picture. M5x.jpg. Alright, I'm gonna like open this in the other screen just in case it is something completely inappropriate. Because, you know, what if I like, oh yeah, our request is denied because its content categorization was suspicious. Let's see. DV HX M5x.jpg. Indeed. The content was suspicious. I wonder if it'll come up this way. Yes. Alright, here you go, guys. This is the best picture from PAX. And I will just leave you with this. Keep in mind that the people are like about that big. They're really tiny. They're just this big. Yes, he wrote down the URL, and I copied the URL onto the screen, and oh my goodness, it worked. We couldn't actually go directly to this picture. Thank you, whatever filter is currently checking to make sure that we are not viewing suspicious sites. But I don't know. I think that this is about as glorious as any kind of picture is. Like, I would save it in the wallpaper section. No, maybe that would be inappropriate. But let's at least save it in the picture section. And I wouldn't replace Ali's lovely wallpaper. But yeah. I mean, like, who wouldn't love this? Okay, so I think that is it for me for tonight. Thank you guys for hanging out. It was a pleasure to hang out with all of you, as it always is. And you can expect that our streams will return on the usual schedule today, this week. So you'll get Ali tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. PST working on art, always wonderful, and Yang working on whatever she's working on next. It's always an exciting adventure with Yang on Thursday at 6 p.m. So have a good night. It was wonderful to see you all, and I look forward to seeing you all again next week.